You mentioned the submissive. You think women shouldn't be submissive, or what's your position?
Yeah, they
there?
do. There's certain dynamics in a relationship, and I feel like also the man should have the final decision, but it's both of you discussing certain things. But yeah, to a certain extent, yes.
Oh, the man should have the final say. Okay.
With decisions.
Oh, okay. Well, nothing there for me to disagree with. Emotional Damage says, in my opinion, women over the age of 30 are basically leftover. No one they dated wanted. Oh, he said crap. Okay. Well, I don't agree with that, but no one they dated wanted to marry them in their prime. The young men who date older women is doing so just because of a perverted fantasy rather than the quality of the woman. You kind of turned it around there then. You have a response there? Or?
Yeah, I don't really agree with him, of course.
I don't really either. I'm in a younger relationship
age
too.
gap.
Yeah, and I mean, I was technically going to be engaged and get married in my prime, and I chose not to because the person that I was with was a piece of crap. So
completely agree. I was engaged too, and
So I don't necessarily think that, and I think that realistically right now the relationship I'm in, he's 5 years younger than me, and I'm learning things from him, and I don't think it's some sick perverted thing. I think we balance each other out.
Okay.
Calling women in over 30 leftovers is kind of crazy. Like that they're not in their prime anymore. Sometimes I feel like a lot of people are in their 30s are now established in their career and are actually like, I don't know, maybe men don't want that.
I feel like that's what, it's like men don't really
want
value
anybody,
that. They don't like that. They don't like to have to compete with their woman, with their female counterpart.
I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, I know we're all supposed to be caretakers and everything like that. And if that's the position that I was put in and it was, okay, I want you to stay home and take care of the kids and everything along those lines, I would have no problem doing that even in my 30s. Like, yes, I have an established career and everything along those lines. But at the end of the day, like, if that's what's going to make my significant other happy and that's what our goal is a family unit, then that's what I'm going to do. I don't think I'm leftover crap for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of people or women in their 30s who even look better than when they were in their mid-20s. I know it's far and few between sometimes, but like, you mature into your face. You don't look like a little girl anymore. Like, you are a woman. And I feel like if we're even going to talk about looks and stuff like that, which I guess it's all guys care about.
Yeah.
It seems like that keeps coming up. But
I know I said earlier that I looked better in my 20s. Well, yeah, obviously in my early 20s, I looked a lot better than I do now. But like, I would say my prime was probably when I was 25, 27, like even 5 years ago. I think I look better than I do now. But again, it's because I took care of myself and but I've learned a lot now too. I don't necessarily look the best that I ever have, but I don't think I look absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I just found that interesting.
Yeah, I think he just said that to like piss you guys off as like a rebuttal to your argument.
Probably.
I say stuff like that all the time.
I know.
we grew up in a society where young girls weren't thought to marry young because everybody is telling them to go for their career, to first finish their study, to get their like be so independent. So how can you blame all the women for like at 30 having their career and everything and then waiting for marriage and then sorry, I'm not explaining myself so well, but yeah, society is basically created in a way that tells women to first focus on school, on their career, and then think about marriage. So it's not all their fault for now knowing this later in life.
Yeah, it's
I would have taken different choices, for example.
Yeah, it's a backwards way of thinking, the way that they spun it now, especially with feminism, especially, third and fourth wave feminism. It's all about hating men, hating the patriarchy, and finding anything that is dominant from masculine. You deem it toxic masculinity. And women are just, it's like you said, women are just taught now in modern day society to provide for themselves, to be independent, this girl boss. Yeah. But there's some deep hatred within that as well, deep hatred for men, for the traditional gender roles.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, because once a woman feels like she doesn't need a man, and like in general in society, women feel like they don't need men, and it's almost like starting to make them feel like men don't have a purpose. So they're starting to disrespect men, and overall it's just bad for every dynamic, every relationship dynamic, because men are growing up with this idea that they're not as good as women, or that they should be like putting women on a pedestal, and a lot of women grow up thinking that they are above men. and end up disrespecting them as well.
Some of these comments, I wish they could like submit a photo of themselves with the comment, because I'd be like, oh, okay.
They have before.
Yeah.
One time, I think. And he wasn't bad looking.
Oh, shocking.
This is why the patriarchy exists. Leave a group of women into sorry.
We've been
Wow.
talking. It just got
Yeah.
quiet, and you're like staring at us.
Awkwardly.
Go ahead, Felicity. Entertain.
Wait, but maybe a question: why are men over 30 not leftovers? Why is because of fertility? Is that the only reason?
I think
that,
so,
that
yeah.
they're basically saying.
I think
Like
that's what they mean.
biological clock.
I'm not saying I agree with that, but
But they're also more established. Like they.
More women find men who are over 30 attractive than men find women over 30 attractive. That's just the truth.
I
Like,
kind of disagree
not-
with that. Would you choose Brad Pitt when he was in his 20s or when he was in his 30s? He both
30s.
is famous and serious, like when
Yeah.
the way you, okay. But I don't think most of the women would choose Brad Pitt in his when
But
he's older.
if you met Brad Pitt on the street and he wasn't Brad Pitt, and it was a matter of how many resources, stability, and then you factor that in with attraction as well, and I think you'd be surprised. I think many women would choose him.
But
in
I'm talking
30s.
about young women, like high school women,
I'm
girls.
not talking about high school, but
Girls in their 20s.
20s.
If you would present them with Brad Pitt when he was 22, 23, with Brad Pitt like over 30, 40, what would the girls go for?
Because it's Brad Pitt,
surprised.
probably 40,
I think
just because he aged really well. Any
I
other
mean,
regular man who's
I'd-
not that attractive, maybe it'd be
I
different.
mean, I'd be willing to grant that probably like a 20-year-old woman would be fine dating 22-year-old Brad Pitt. Like,
yeah, who would she
I
choose?
between 22 versus 32.
Yeah.
I think she'd pick. It's hard to say, but yeah, I'll just say 22.
Yeah, I would think so too. And just to make a bigger comparison, because men always talk, or like people always talk about that women go for the richer, wealthier guy with more status. If I would put Bill Gates here and Brad Pitt here, what would she choose?
Sorry, Bill Gates and who?
Bill Gates, he's really rich.
But
that-
No, but
And Brad
who's the
Pitt.
other one?
Yeah,
I know who Bill Gates.
Brad Pitt.
But at a certain threshold, you have that stability. Having extra millions, even billions, it's a diminishing returns. 'Cause I think if you're like literally stacking up Brad Pitt with Bill Gates, I think many women would go for Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I mean,
because of
also
his
Still secure. It's like that's all.
No, it is a good argument though. Like, but I would agree that like most women would pick Brad Pitt, like broke Brad Pitt, or well, Bill Gates, super rich Bill Gates. Yeah, I think most women pick Brad Pitt.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize you were talking about broke Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
apologize.
Well, I
should
don't
have
think she
framed it
was,
that
but-
way. Yeah, but that's
but
a better one.
That's probably a better way
Yeah.
to frame it, but.
I think it's a tough analysis, though. It wouldn't be the same woman in a way.
Here's what I think it would be. They have the child. Well, I don't know, man. I was going to say they have the child with Brad Pitt, and then they go to Bill Gates for his resources. And then Bill Gates is like the little simp boy who's like paying for the... But
That's-
even then, I'm like, if the woman had to choose, like for everything, like to have kids with, I think she takes Brad Pitt. But I don't know if like most women have like a similar choice in life to that. So
Yeah, I think it's impossible.
it's
to
just
experiment.
like this hypothetical that
Yeah.
people, yeah, the chat seems to agree. Like, no chick is picking Bill Gates. But I'm sure, bro, in the 90s, Bill Gates was crushing it. He was that Silicon Valley. I mean, to be fair, like the
Till
Silicon Valley.
Elon Musk passed. Now the
I think
question
I
is,
was
would
just
you-
mentioning
Not-
this because
not
it's
the
always
best
a discussion online that
talent
women are
pool.
only pursuing men with status and money. Like when they're older, that men, when they're older, men will have more status and money, but the attractiveness of men will also fade at some point. So it's not like if you have a 20-year-old girl, she would rather go for the hot 25-year-old than the 44-year-old with money and status.
Yeah, I agree with that. I actually don't disagree. And also, just to be clear, when it comes to the age gap stuff, I'm not saying like if a younger woman who's like 20 wants to date an older guy, you can make that choice. But I also acknowledge like probably like the majority of young women have a strong preference or prefer or ultimately end up dating men around their age. So it's not, I'm not saying a should, like they should date older men. If they want to, okay.
Many claim that men peak at around 35. Now, I'm not sure how accurate
It's all
that
downhill
is.
for us. Fuck, we're screwed.
But that number's thrown around a lot, which I
When
find really
are you peaking right now, Warren?
But like in looks.
Were you just went to film school, right?
Yeah.
So you were dealing with like a bunch of theater chicks and stuff, and
I was super
You were crushing
awkward in high school.
no way, dude. You were crushing it. Were you doing theater classes or what?
Not in high school. No.
No.
No. I was just, I can tell you, this is for any men listening that, because Garden State, that movie came out back then, and there was this idea of being, right around the time the Manic Pixie Dream Girl came, it's like this girl's going to come along and all you have to do is be the sincere, bashful, artsy, sensitive guy, and you just be yourself, and she'll just, Natalie Portman will come along, and if you live like that, you kind of regret it later once you gain experience and you realize it just doesn't work that way. You have to be more adventurous and assertive, like I think many people have been describing. And the word we use is what? Not
Dominant?
Is it? Perhaps that's what I mean by that, but something about the word dominance is a bit.
Like taking initiative?
A little more
It's definitely
assertive.
initiative, assertive. Yes, you can't wait for the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. And so I had that idea in high school, kind of, that, and looking back on it, I'm like, darn.
We got a message here from Lucas. He says, "We do not want a woman over 30 with a career that challenges us. The wisest man ever to walk this earth, King Solomon, once said, better to live alone in a desert than with a quarrelsome wife." Oh, this is proverb. This is, pretty much the same. Than with a quarrelsome and nagging wife. Lucas, thank you so much for the message, man. Really appreciate it. Is anybody here, just curious, anybody here religious? You're a Christian?
Yeah.
You have the
I have the
cross?
yeah.
What denomination are you?
I'm Greek Orthodox.
Oh, you're okay. Gotcha. I had a question related to that, but Lucas is sending a follow-up. Likewise, why do you modern day gals fight so hard against biology? However you spin it, the average woman has lost 90% of her viable eggs by age 30. Leftover crap is harsh, but the sentiment is true. From Lucas.
Is that true? 90%?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it definitely depletes after.
Deplete.
God.
You do.
That's a
yeah.
nice way of putting it.
No, of
These
course you do.
depleted women.
You do lose your biological value,
Yeah.
like a lot of your biological value by the time you are 30. I can understand why that's not attractive to men, especially since we have that primal instinct to reproduce.
Yeah, they can get pregnant though.
They can.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom had
Like-
me when she was 41. So
Yeah,
it's
in the 40s they can
I
still
know.
get pregnant,
yeah,
so.
it's possible.
Mary G, B-Day Pop,